Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today is a different stream, not one that I particularly wanted to do, but I felt was very important to do. This stream is different because it is my opinion about exactly what's going on in this country. Over the last 9 months, we did an election for an individual, and since then, there has been a lot going on in this country, and a lot of it is not being discussed via the news or private sectors because they are being monitored. On January 20th, occupants of the White House, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, had taken over. And according to his own words, Joe Biden said, "Only a dictator throws out executive orders. Only a dictator tells the people of the country what to do." However, I don't care if you voted for Biden or Trump. This is not what this is about. Today, this is about discussing our fellow Americans, our country, and its security. I have watched over the last 9 months since Biden has taken over the White House and occupied it. And much to everyone's disbelief, because they are not talking about it on the news, because they are deciding what is going to be put on the news via ABC, CBS, NBC, or CW. They decide what can and cannot be put on the news. A dictator decides what is put on the news, who is allowed to be, what is allowed to be said on the news, and also throws out executive orders. In January, 11,000 Americans were put out of work when the Keystone pipelines were shut down by Joe Biden. 11,000 people lost their jobs. But it gets worse. On another executive order that was thrown out was to open the borders to all illegals, or as I call migrants. Thousands have traveled in and been stopped by Border Patrol, and a good approximate 75% of them tested positive. But the wall for the border has been stopped. Border Patrol had 77 people as of July 2021. 77 Border Patrol agencies were killed. Next, and here's my biggest issue that needs to be said over and over again. On August 31st, hundreds of Americans were abandoned in foreign territory called Afghanistan. Just a reminder to those who don't remember or are too young to know, when we occupied Afghanistan, the President of the United States at that time, President George W. Bush, asked the American citizens, "Will you please step up and help rebuild Afghanistan?" And a lot of Americans said, "Send me, I'll go. I'm a contractor, I'm a construction worker." Thousands went to Afghanistan to help rebuild Afghanistan. Before August 31st, Biden talked to the president of Afghanistan, and he said, this is really bad. And the president said, this is not good. And Biden said, don't tell him that. Don't do that. Do not tell him that this is going to be bad. So the Afghan president didn't. When the Taliban took back over control and we were forced to head to one base in Afghanistan, they said, okay, we're going to be leaving here August 31st. Let our people through. The Taliban decided they had set up a perimeter around the entire Air Force base and decided who was getting through and who was not. A lot of Americans were not getting through. They weren't allowed to by the Taliban guards. And people say, how can I be so sure of that? How can I be sure that they weren't allowed to? Because there's a lot of Americans that were left on August 31st. And what disgusts me most about this are the very people that were put in charge. The very first people that were put in charge were as followed. In May 2018, 5 Gitmo terrorists were released. 5 Gitmo terrorists were released for a soldier whose name was Sergeant Bo Bergda. Those very 5 people that were released in May 2014 for exchange for Army Sergeant Bo Bergda are now Sabbath True in charge. These people are now in charge of the Taliban and decided who was going to get through and who would not. There is followed. The first one on the left is Mullah Nuri. The second one is Mohammed Nabi Amari. Third one is Mohammed Fadhi. The fourth one is Karula Kawara. And the fifth one is Abdul Haq Wazir. Was released by the U.S. Department of Defense under order of President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden. They were released to get this AWOL soldier back. They got the AWOL soldier back, and now these very 5 people are on the list for Taliban that are the government of Afghanistan now. On top of that, and like I said, this is not about who you voted for. Illegal immigrants or migrants are still charging the borders, even after August 26th, when the Supreme Court of the United States told them, close those borders, this is not legal. Migrants are still rushing the border, along with several terrorists from Sri Lanka, Iran, Pakistan, and China. The people in Afghanistan, the Taliban that I pointed out, who are in charge, were armed and equipped with our own Hummers, Blackhawks, artillery, and tactical gear that was ordered to be left behind by Joe Biden. They are left behind, and now these very people are armed with this type of weapons. To the point where if people try to go back in and rescue Americans, they got to go through our own weapons to save them. They got to be able to stand up to this. And if you think I'm kidding, sad but true, this is what people are going through. And on top of that, anyone that goes to rescue them was ordered by the U.S. Department of Defense. Anyone that goes and rescues these Americans, do not let them land in American soil. Take them out. We are no longer a country of freedom. When we left like that, abandoning our people, they all took it as a sign of, yes, Taliban won. Move on, loser Americans. Retreat and leave your people behind for our hostages. And if you think I'm kidding about them arming Taliban to the teeth with our own weapons, our own Hummers, our own gear, see it for yourself, people. American rocket launchers, American M17s, M15s. They're holding American people hostage with our own equipment. We now, more than ever, need to pray for our country. We need to pray for fellow Americans. This is no longer about who you voted for. It's about who do you support. Do you care enough about this country to say, God help us? Because right now, we are literally on the brink. At any moment, to no longer be the home of the free. He's already made several executive orders and is trying to get people to help push through defund the police. He's using the people like using people to cause riots and stuff in the streets. And when these things happen, I had the name of them, I just don't remember at the moment. But when these things happen, they're told, do not stop them. The government have ordered that the police are not allowed to stop certain groups from destroying property, attacking innocent people, and causing havoc in our own country. We are in a serious situation. Our government, the occupant of the White House, I was told several times, you don't want to do this. You do not want to talk politics on your channel. Well, this ain't about politics. This is about our country and how we are about to lose it. How we are about to lose the very country that we loved. And yes, I'm taking a stand because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. My grandfathers and my pap both fought in World War II to protect this country and for what it stood for. My dad and my uncle are Vietnam vets. My other uncle is an Iraqi vet. I also have relatives that dealt with Afghanistan. And if they fought and we lose this country, their fight for our freedom, their fight to protect us. My uncle took a bullet in Vietnam. He was affected by Agent Orange. Was all done in vain. Because if the very people in charge have their way, they are going to make this into a country that is not of freedom. Like I said, I'm not about politics right now. I'm worried about our freedom as Americans. As it is, much of you already know about how government has said, lock them down, shut them up. When Biden was confronted about those Americans left behind, you know what his exact words were? I'm proud of what I've done. And the next very words, when fellow Americans said, you left people behind. You left them to die. And he said, ignore them. They're just ignorant. Are we really that ignorant, people? Are we really that ignorant that we're not gonna believe our fellow Americans when they say you left innocent Americans behind, that the presidents of the United States asked to go there? Are we that ignorant that we're going to sit there and say it's okay that the 5 people that Obama and Biden released from Gitmo to get that soldier back are now in charge, and Biden gave them the weapon and the vehicles and all that to do it with? Are we that ignorant to say it's okay that our fellow Americans are being held over there without the things they need, like food and stuff, being held hostage? And Biden's telling us we're ignorant? I hope and pray that people will pray for our country, for those who are in charge, or supposed to be in charge, and moreover, for those who are still stuck over there that came to the call when the President of the United States said, come help rebuild Afghanistan. I hope and pray that people will pray right now. Because to much the people's surprise, former veterans that served in the military have stood up and said, we're not going to stand by. And they are on their way over. They have already rescued several families from the Taliban. But there are more going over there, and the U.S. has told them, if people go over and rescue Americans, do not let them back on American soil. Do not let them back where they live, where they belong. Biden, along with the Secretary of Defense, have ordered that they be taken out. And yet, that very Secretary of Defense, or the Secretary of the State, I'm sorry, not Defense, Secretary of the State, is now being called in to be questioned by the Congress of the United States. God have mercy on our fellow Americans who went to when they were called to help. God have mercy on this country as people are being told, lockdown. You're not allowed to go out of your house now. As people are being told, let those who want to destroy our cities hurt innocent people. And I know King Bluto, you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of their name right at the moment. But they had a prayer vigil over in Portland, Oregon. While doing this prayer vigil, this group of people attacked children, women, men, throwing bottles and rocks and anything they could get their hands on to hurt these people praying. And the Portland Police Department couldn't do nothing because, according to Governor Kate Brown, you're not allowed to do anything to them. They're allowed to do what they want. It was a group with the BLM and the other group that was out there attacking people praying for this country, for its state. Thank you. Thank you, Bluto. That's it, King Bluto. Antifa was attacking several kids, women, and men as they were doing a prayer vigil in Portland, Oregon. Antifa has also attacked several people with the authority, such as mayors, city officials, things like that. Not just in Oregon, but throughout the entire country of the United States. And due to a certain element of law, as much as I said I don't want this to be a political attack, but the Democrats said, don't you dare stop them. You let them do what they want. Several kids were hospitalized due to Antifa. Several kids, women as well, during a prayer vigil, were attacked. And our government said, don't you dare stop them. The police had to stand by and watch innocent people be hurt. People's property be destroyed. All the while, these people are allowed to run wild and do what they want because our government said, don't stop them. Let them do what they want. This is a time of need for prayer for this country. If you are a prayer warrior, I don't care what group you are, whether you're Christian, Islamic, Buddha, Hinduism, whatever it is, please pray for this country. Please pray that people will make the right decision to end this senseless behavior. This senseless, disgusting behavior. Because, like it, Dagiel just said, it wasn't reported on the news. It wasn't the border thing. It wasn't reported about Antifa attacking and hurting innocent people or destroying people's property. It wasn't reported that the government said, don't you stop them. Don't you dare think about going in there and stopping these people. But this is part of their tactics to defund the police. See? Police can't even take care of it. They can't even stop riots. They can't stop them from busting your property up. They can't stop them from hurting you. But it's because of our own government. The United States of America needs to decide whether you're Democrat, Republican, whether you're independent or conservative. Are we going to take a stand and say no more? Are we going to take a stand and say, pray for this country and prove that it is still we the people, not we the government? That it is still we the people, by the people, for the people decide what is good for this country, not the government. Are we going to stand by and say, nope, government said this is how it's going to go? One, I'm not going to be that way. And that's why I came on today, to warn everybody. Because, like they said, floods of illegals are marching into this country still. They think of us as numbers, not people. We need to tell them we're still a country of we the people. We're still a country of freedom. And I, for one, am an American that loves my fellow American enough to take a stand and tell you exactly what's going on. Even if Joe Biden considers me ignorant. Even if my governor said, don't you dare make fun of talk about Antifa that way. And I hope that my fellow Americans will help bring this country back to what we all loved it as. A country of freedom. A country where we the people are in charge, not the government. And finally, a country that said, God bless our veterans that are rescuing Americans left behind when the incompetent White House occupant said, don't you dare go over there and save them. And if anyone asks you, tell them they're ignorant. I appreciate each and every one of you today. And this needs to be told. Because I was told by several people, don't get into politics. Well, this had nothing to do with politics. This has to do with the fact that our country that we love, that my ancestors fought for, is now crumbling underneath us. And that this country is becoming a country with a dictator who decides what is on the news, what isn't on the news, and anyone that tells us something that's not right, meaning how Americans are left behind, they're ignorant, just ignore them. We're not ignorant, Biden. And we're not going to stand by while you let our fellow Americans suffer. And that goes for the government too. Please pray for our military. Pray for our police officers and first responders. And pray for our vets as they bravely go where they've been told not to by Biden and the Secretary of State. God bless you all, and I really appreciate each and every one of you who've been here today. And those who listen afterwards, know this. I love and I am proud to be an American. But I told something the other day, and I don't know if you guys seen it on Mike the Ranger. Whether the 13 soldiers killed in that Taliban blast was a friend of mine. He was a fellow American. He was a soldier that was trying to rescue people out of Afghanistan. But he was killed doing what the Americans do best. Stand up for freedom. Let's not let their death be in vain, people. But let's stand up for our freedom. And show that we are still a country of we the people, by the people, for the people. Thank you very much. And God bless each and every one of you. I am Ranger 92308. And my heart goes out to each and every one of you. And thank you for being here today. And please, pray for our country. Pray that we get the right decisions made. And thank you again. Have a good day. Don't be a stranger to the Ranger.